Really excited to be here and learn from Pam today. So I think I wanted to start by just asking what you kind of focus your research on, Pam.
Yeah, so I'll start off like in a good way, and I just want to say miigwech again, to Lara, to Lara for agreeing, in a respectful and good way, to not only interview me today, because I don't see it as that. I really see this as an opportunity to have a conversation and to learn from Lara and learn from the community here as well. I really want to thank Heather Carroll for arranging this, and also for Jessica Riddell, for always like, being there and being one of my biggest supporters. So I want to start off by saying miigwech. And also, again, just to let people know who I am, and then I have an activity that we're going to actually do in the chat almost immediately. So again, like Ani and Bojo, everybody, Wase Ekawabit Kwan Indigenous Sagmuk Nishnabek Donjaba Gnoje Dodam. So a lot of people know me, as Dr. Pam. My students call me Dr. Pam, and kind of like Dr. Phil, but Dr. Pam, with an interesting and holistic purpose. Not only that, when I introduced myself, I did so in my language, Nishnabemwin, and it's important for me to start off that way and to honor, again, where I've come from. And what I said is, I said, listen, my traditional name is She That Looks Ahead. And my home community where I grew up is called Sagmuk, or else, a place of 2 points joining. It's also where we knew to get, the best sturgeon, historically and in our story with my people. And the other thing I said was Gnoja Dodem. So I have like a family or else a larger clan to which I belong, which goes beyond blood, right? It really does. And that is the pike family, and it's the actual fish. And we're said to be the original teachers and mediators and philosophers in our nation. Because we say that that beautiful fish, has this wonderful view of the world, that as it like, goes around all of our waters, that it gets to, it has this vision of the galaxy and of the universe, that is quite unique. So I feel very lucky, to be able to come from such a wonderful family that goes beyond biology. So, what I would like you to do, we're going to start off, and this is part of my research. All right, don't be scared, my friends, okay? Don't be scared, peepsters. What I would like you to do in the chat, my friends, is this, all right? So, very simply, what I would like you to do is I would like you to take 2 to 3 words, okay? 2 to 3 words today to describe your day, okay? 2 to 3 words. You're like, what? Describe my day? What are you asking me for? My day rushed, coffee, puppies, children, partners. What is it? So, what I want you to do is to take 2 to 3 words to describe your day. And as you're doing that and populating the chat, my friends, I'll talk about why we do this, okay? So, describe your day. What's it been like? All right, there's definitely all kinds of like very descriptive words, about, 2 to 3 words about how our days are going. And what I absolutely love about this, right, my friends, is that we start off in this, in this personal space. And for me, it's about like, these points of intersection, right? It's about the intersectionality and, being able to see where it is that we're coming from. Some people have had upsetting mornings, some people have had exciting mornings, but each one of us, comes to this conversation and to this time together in a good way with our own experiences and how it is that we describe our day. And I really see the 22 of us that are here, the 22 of us are here, that really what we are is that we are a community that will support each other. And you may be like, what are you talking about? I came here, to listen, to hang out, But what it is that we are. And that in the work of decolonization, is that what we do is that we open up our minds and we open up our hearts. This is what we do. And that what we do as part of this is that we welcome each other in a good way and that we support each other. Because decolonization, in our institutions is not just about decolonizing a university, but it's looking at, all aspects of our lives, seeing where it is that we enjoy privilege and power. And not only that, and also looking to each other, to help each other understand through storytelling, being able to understand, like, our wonderful, again, lives with each other and to build that community. So I want to start with that. So you've got your 2 to 3 words about how your day is beginning. And what I would like to do, my good friends, is I'd like to turn that, okay? I'd like to turn that right now, all right? So I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to give you a concept that actually has to do with, again, with decolonization, all right? And this concept is like this. So I want you to try it. Show me your hands. Show me your hands, okay? So when your cameras are off, that's okay. If you're behind your camera, oh, I've got psychic vision. I can see you behind there. I want you to take those hands and I want you to move it to the screen and move it out. So move it in and move it out. Try it again. Move it in and move it out. And I want you to wave like this. I want you to wave, and then we turn them back. And we go like this. And we go like this, and we say, miigwech. Try it, miigwech. So, my friends, miigwech, all right, is a concept in decolonization that comes from my own Anishinaabeg worldview. And miigwech is actually the word for thanks. Yeah, for thank you. So what I would like you to do, my gorgeous friends, we started off with 2 to 3 words to describe our day. But now what we're going to do, my gorgeous friends, is in the chat, right? When we think about miigwech and being thankful, right? Not just Thanksgiving weekend if you celebrate that. And for me, it's not that, I look at Thanksgiving very differently through a different lens. And I see it, as a very different celebration. So I take Thanksgiving and I say, okay, what I do is I reflect. And I reflect on the work that I still need to do, right? Because Thanksgiving, when you look at the roots of it, we've really got to, reconsider what it means and what it means for people that are Indigenous. So I want you to go to the chat and think about miigwech. What is 1 or 2 things that you're so thankful for today? You're like, oh my goodness, miigwech, thank you for my more than humans, which are my pups, my partner, my children, the earth, air, what is it? So go to the chat, folks. What is it that you're miigwech for today? What are you thankful for? We've got some beautiful comments here. When we take a look at it, it really gets, to the root, to the root, right? Of what it is, that nurtures us, that really gets, to our spirit, to that sacred self, right? That's really what it is. So again, keep on going. Take a look, so what is it? And we see it, right? Life, right? Life, really. That we're miigwech for life. Now, some people put coffee. Thank goodness, coffee. And coffee's a good spirit as well. Coffee's a good spirit. In my language, makareabo, right? It's like muddy water. And it's a life giver too. So we've all, again, we take a look, and if you look at the chat, so don't be afraid, my friends. Go take a look, right? Go take a look, my good friends, to see what we have in common, right? What do we have in common? What are those intersections of miigwech? So go in and take a look. And I just want you to hold that word to yourself. Okay, so hold it to yourself. So, my good friends, this whole, again, decolonizing, our institutions and our lives. So, that's a really loaded term, right? It's like, well, what does this mean? Is there a checklist of things I need to do to decolonize myself and the institution? And there is no, I can provide, my insights, as a person that's Anishinaabe. Lara can provide insights and we can share together in community. But there is no big checklist of the things that we need to do, because really it's part of a journey now. That's what it is. It's part of a journey, and it's a part of looking at, right? Part of looking at, again, who are the colonial gatekeepers, right? And colonial gatekeepers, my friends, are not just two-leggeds, right? And that's us, human beings, right? The two-leggeds. Colonial gatekeepers can be particular departments. Colonial gatekeepers can be policies. It can be curriculum. Colonial gatekeepers can be, again, social media. So colonial gatekeepers is really, the two-legged technology. It is those structures, that have been here for for so long, that continue, to exercise, this really disrespectful way of excluding people like me, right? My nephews, my nieces, people, that are excluded from education. So this is, and not just from education, but people that have not, that don't enjoy privilege. And I'll give you an example of what that is. And this is kind of like my top 10 list of, of understanding privilege, right? Because privilege and power is directly rooted to decolonization. So what I want you to do is to think in your minds, okay? Think in your minds. And what I want you to do is just go check, check, check if this has or hasn't happened to you. So I'm going to tell you. So this is my own top 10 list of privilege and power. Is that, I've been to like 4 universities. And a lot of times, like, like when I go into universities, a lot of people assumed that I got into university because I was Indigenous, right? So again, racializing my entry and graduation into university. So if you've never been called out, that, hey, did you get into like university or get this position because of, where you're from, then you have privilege, right? So not only that, if you've never had to answer the question, where are you from, right? And I still get that, people look at me and they're always like, well, what are you? Where are you from? If you don't have to do that, then, you have that privilege. So again, this one's always interesting for me because I get like, all of these like, requests on a regular basis. And there's this assumption because I'm an Anishinaabe that I'm the authority. I'm the authority on everything Anishinaabeg, right? Anishinaabeg medicine, Anishinaabeg technology, the language. Like, and it goes like, it's the entire gamut of life that I must be the expert and know it all. So when you have privilege, what that means is that you don't have to be the authority on everything, that you can actually have a focused discipline, right? You can. And then, so that's what happens to me. So often I will have to do, in a respectful way, an education session in a good way with people that contact me. And I'm like, you know what? I actually don't have a medical background, so I can't help you, on, again, issues related to diabetes and, First Nations people. I can't do that, right? I'm not the authority. And here's the other one that also, again, like, so if one of the big things is that, people will often get surprised, right? Get surprised when I start talking in particular forums. So it's like, wow, you're really articulate. And it's as though, I don't possess the right to be articulate, right? It's a surprise. Not only that, when I take a look at curriculum, my Anishinaabe story was excluded, all the way from K right through to university. And not only that, I'm often, asked to be a representative of all Indigenous peoples. Well, what do
Mhm.
Indigenous peoples think about this, right? What do they think about it? But meanwhile, if you've never been asked that question at all, then that's privilege. But I often will get that. Well, what do Indigenous peoples think about, like, again, about diabetes prevention? What do Indigenous peoples think about mining, right? And that for me is being asked to be a representative, and I'm not, right? I'm not. So again, privilege means that you've never been asked to be a representative for an entire group. Not only that, this one is always interesting because there's so many things in the news now why decolonization is even more needed. And if we go to, again, like our own people that are dying in hospitals, right? That are dying in hospitals being treated, in such horrible manners. And I go to the case in Quebec, again, where one of our beautiful, again, two-legged Indigenous women, again, that her last dying thoughts were about the staff making negative comments, right? So again, there's another, like, our people are dying because of colonization. So again, the other thing is that, you know what? I'm a two-legged. I'm happy at times, I'm mad sometimes. Sometimes I make mistakes. But if I make a mistake, typically what would happen, right? So this goes back to privilege, which I don't have. If I make a mistake, then it's often viewed as reflecting badly on the entire nation, right? It's like, oh my goodness, you messed up, you made a mistake. So then, it's like a reflection of all First Nations peoples. Well, then all First Nations must be like that. So that's what happens. And not only that, especially as we come up, to Halloween and the kiddies are getting ready, to go out. And I'm not a celebrator of it at all because I have my own traditions. Is that often our culture gets appropriated, and people will say, "Well, listen, why is it such a big deal? Don't you feel like you're being honored?" People wear Donald Trump costumes, when they go out. Well, think about that, right? Donald Trump and like other people as well, what it is that that is like, a member of the dominant culture. And it doesn't necessarily make it right either. But what it is that whenever people go out and they wear like, things, that mimic an aspect of self, of my culture, what it is that it's oppressing, and bringing racial prejudice, of course, again, again to my nation. That's what it is. We're talking about the entire nation. So that's whenever I think about, we think about privilege and power, is that we need to think about, well, listen, how do I continue to benefit from it, and what do I need to do differently, right? Because again, it's like, how do I continue to benefit? And a lot of folks will say, well, that happened like, years ago. I'm not responsible for that. But to what extent do you still benefit from that, from privilege? So I'm going to stop it there, my friends, okay? And what I would like you to do, okay? And I swear, this is a very easy activity. What I would like you to do, my good friends, is I would like you to go like this, because this is also a part of decolonization. Try your best. You're going to make a heart, okay? That's my best heart, okay? That's your best heart, okay, my good friends? Now, what we do is we flash the screen in a good way. We put it to the screen, and even if your camera's not on, my good friends, show them what your heart looks like, okay? So we leave our heart there. We give it to our friends in this community. Take my heart, if you will. Take it, take it. So the heart, right? The heart. Damn in. So that's another part of decolonization. So damn in. From the heart. And from the heart, decolonization practices, is about, again, sharing our stories in a good way, right? Sharing our stories in a good way from the heart. And, getting to know each other. And, we'll never truly understand each other. I mean, we won't, right? We can relate, we can find these points of intersections where we relate, but we'll never truly understand the path each one of us has walked. So damn in, this heart. This heart means that we enter into a conversation and that we're ready to share the most vulnerable parts of ourselves, but we do it in a good way. And as two-leggeds, we do this in a good way because we know that the sharing of each other in a vulnerable way is a very risky thing to do. So that no matter where we come from, that we value what's being shared in a good way. So, damn in, the heart, my friends. What I want you to do in the chat, my beautiful friends, is I want you to put down one thing and one thing only that nourishes your heart. So, and it's okay to get a little bit selfish with this, okay? So what I mean is, if you don't take care of yourself in this hard work of decolonization, okay, if you don't do it, nobody else will. So it's okay to say, listen, you know what I do? I go for a walk. It's okay to say, you know what, partner, everybody else, I need a break. So what do you do to nourish your heart? Okay, so put that in the chat. There you go. Yeah, we've got it. Oh, yes, we've got them. I love it. We've got, again, some very beautiful things being written, and it's all about that. It's about the hugs, it's about walking, it's about expressing emotion, It's about breathing, being with those people that nourish our heart. Damn in, right? That's what it's about. Being with those people that nourish us, right? Listening to music, those things that appeal, to our mind, and to our spirit, that sacred part of self. So that's what it is, right? So we share in that damn in, and we share in damn in. We nourish the heart so that we can do our work in a good way. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to have you just hold on to those thoughts. And I'm actually going to go back to my beautiful friend Lara and Jessica. If they wanted to share anything at all, ask questions, because remember, this is not just about me. I'm here, very honored to be here, to be able to come and, to be able to hang out this morning or afternoon for some of you. Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you, Pam. That was amazing. I was definitely interesting to like hear you talking about the different areas of privilege. Um, because like I was thinking through and I was like, oh wow, like I definitely have had like similar experiences to you in like the tokenism aspect of a lot of things,
Yeah.
especially in classrooms. So I think that that's such an interesting thing. I just was thinking like this morning, my class and I were talking about like the post-colonial and decolonizing countries, and it definitely came up a lot about like land recognition. So I was just like wondering if you could kind of talk with us about that because like as it was, we were discussing it in class, yet again it was more of a token than anything, and like all of us were kind of like okay, like we get it, but at the same time, like it's not the best thing. So I just kind of want to know what you think about that to see, another perspective.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that you raised this, Lara. And so I'm actually going to start it off with an activity, okay, to respond to that question. So what I'm going to ask everybody that's participating here today is I want you to think about like, your favorite place, your favorite place, whether it's like out at the lake, out at the cottage, a certain park, or else if it's on your back patio. And I want you just to put down right now, okay? And let's see what we have in common. Where is your favorite place? Is it in your home, in a reading nook? Where is it, right? So put your favorite place in the chat, my friends, because that's going to give me, again, an opportunity to speak about, again, let's see. So take a look, my beautiful friends, okay? What's your favorite place? So we take a look. We've got the park, beaches, the houses, the waterfront, the forest, home, beautiful, walking trails, all of these wonderful things, people anywhere, my backyard. But we have it again, backyard, lakes. So I'm taking a look at the beautiful chat, and this is where I'm going to start with land recognition. So I want you to think about what those places mean to you, okay? What do they symbolize, really, right? What is the waterfront? What does it actually mean? The backyard and the home, right? What does it mean to you, right? What does it mean to you and your family? What does it mean to your more than humans, right? What does it mean? And more than humans, why I use that term, right? So the more than two-leggeds is, again, really, this is a time when the two-leggeds really need to be put in their place. And I'll say that in a good way, okay? Us two-leggeds need to be put in our place. So the more than humans are our dogs, the cats, the bears, the wolves, the trees, the grasses, the air, all of the earth, right? All of Mother Earth's children, the waterways. Those are the more than humans. And and when I say more than humans, it's not to be hurtful towards the two-leggeds, which is us, but it's to put us in our place and to remind us, right? To remind us that if at any time our great mother decided to shake all of us off, that all of those other beings would survive without us and thrive, right? They really would. They'd survive and thrive with the way that we've treated our mother. So when it comes to land recognition, I get asked a lot of this by teachers in kindergarten to grade 12, and when opening events are happening nationally. And for me, land recognition is still important, but, right? But land recognition has to come with an activity right afterwards. What does this mean for me, right? So I can easily say, oh, here I am, I'm located like, in the Anishinaabe territory, which is my territory, but also, it also is, again, the traditional land of my fellow two-leggeds in Atikameksheng and Anishinaabe. It's also my treaty territory. So I think that information is still important, but it has to go a step further than the checklist of things we need to do at an opening or on my course syllabus or on a policy document or at a website. That what we need to do is we need to say, okay, well, what does this actually mean for me? What does it compel me to do differently, right? Now that I know the territory I'm in, now that I know the treaty territory, what does it compel me to do? Because once you start going through the checklist, right, it's like, okay, well, we've done that. We've acknowledged, let's move on. No, what does it compel you to do? So one thing I've asked teachers in K to 12, like when they've asked me this question, I said, well, it's part of your morning announcements, right? And you're wondering about the effectiveness of land acknowledgements and land recognition. I said, so continue to do the practice, but just don't leave it as, just a normalized practice, because it needs to have action behind it, right? And that's what reconciliation is about. And decolonization, it's about action, action, right? That's really what it's about. So what does it compel me to do? Knowing in myself, anytime I go to any territory, that's what I do. I start off with the land acknowledgement, but then I take it a step further and I say, and this is what it compels me to do. Being in the territory of the Haudenosaunee compels me to be a better two-legged when I am in your territory, to acknowledge the sacred sites that is your territory, to acknowledge, people that come by me in the language of your people by saying, sego, by learning the basic greetings. That's what it compels me to do, to be a part of that in a good way and to know, to know that I'm a visitor. So that's the other thing. There's a difference between being a visitor and a guest. So when I go to another territory, no matter what it is, I always try to make it clear that I am a visitor until one of the elders or else somebody from the community says, well, no, now you're our guest, but I'm a visitor. I'm here in my territory. This is my traditional lands. But if I go out to Mi'kmaq territory, Maliseet, if I go out to Ntlakatma territory, I am a visitor until I have been invited as a guest. So again, that's really important that even as an Anishinaabe woman, and that's how I identify, that I am a visitor in other territories, and that when I go there, that as a visitor, that I am going to walk respectfully, but, to know that I will not call myself a guest, because a guest usually means that you've been invited. So I wait to be invited. So, my good friends, what I'm going to have you do, my good friends, okay, my wonderful peeps in the chat before I hand it over again over to Lara and Jessica, is I want you again just to take a look, at those places and spaces, right? Those places and spaces, that you go to. So like the backyard, your hometown, your home, the Lake Bannock, under starry skies, wherever it may be, my friends. And I want you to think about one word, or it could be a symbol, okay? There's no wrong way to do this. You also have the right to, not participate. So I want you to think about, again, what does that mean to you in one word, or what does it actually represent? Does it represent peace, serenity, connection, self-care, wellness, healing? What does it represent? So go to the chat. What does that special place represent for you? You can use an emoji, which is, again, you'll see them there. There's all kinds of smileys. What does it mean? Okay. What does it mean? Right? So we've got definitely some beautiful beautiful words, connection, calmness, peace, love, right? Quiet, self-care, safety, right? Safety, being welcome, being known. We've got beautiful emojis with hearts bursting out all over. I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love, this symbolic language. And symbolic language, all people have symbolic languages. A lot of people will say, oh, yes, Nishnabek people, indigenous people, oh, you're an oral culture. You know what? We're also a written one. Yeah, yeah. We've had, symbols, and we've had like, pictographs, petroglyphs, and all of those things that are a written language. Every nation has symbolic languages. So again, beautiful connection, calm, love. So, my good friends, I'm actually going to stop at this point, and I'm actually going to ask you again just to kind of get the most positive thoughts in your mind, okay? Get the most positive thoughts in your mind. Because when you look at those words, right? We look at connection, home, peace, that what those beautiful words again that they are, those are our safe places. They're places that we can go to be grounded. But what I want you to do right now is I want you to get the most positive thoughts in your mind. All right, so we'll just do it together. So grab your hands, grab your hands. Now I'm going to have to mess up my hair for this. Don't be afraid. I want you to take your hands. You're going to put it into your hair. Thank goodness, folks, this ain't the 80s. If it was the 80s, all right. My hair was this big. Joico Weiss. Okay, couldn't even get my hands in there. Rub your mind, rub your mind. Let's get it in a good space. Oh, yes. Bit of self-care. Let's get the positivity in our brains. Okay, let's push out that positivity. Push it out, right? Push it out, okay? Push it out. Now, I know behind the screens you've done the activity too. So I want to push it out, and I want to push out the positivity. So decolonization in institutions and in life has to be hopeful. Has to be hopeful. It has to be, because decolonization is quite, can be quite messy. It can be hurtful, it can be, you go through all of these stages, but it has to be hopeful for all parties. And it has to be hopeful because when I look at, when I look at my screen here and I see all these beautiful names, I see all these beautiful names. Angie, I see Ellen, I see Andrew, I see, Ornella. And if I say your names wrong, please forgive me. Susan, I see CLT laptop, but I'm pretty sure it's actually CLT, okay? But my good friends, Tanisha, Paige, all of you, decolonization has to be hopeful, for everybody. Even when you're investigating your power and privilege and how you continue to benefit from it, it has to be hopeful. Because each one of us comes, we come to this conversation and we enter this world every day. We enter this world every day, with all kinds of experiences. And we come here with loss. Each one of us has experienced loss and pain. And that's a point of intersectionality. And I want to give an example. One of our beautiful friends here in this chat lost a more than human back in August, right? Lost a more than human. So if I go up the chat, so Suzanne, thank you. I know, Suzanne, the CLT laptop, so I acknowledge you, my friend. But one of our beautiful friends lost a more than human. So losing a more than human, is difficult. Suffering loss, it's part of, the human condition, the two-legged condition. We have struggles. We face these things. We face death, right? It's a part of that, our journey here on this world. And we see this beautiful individual here in our chat that's participating in our community today that lost a more than human. And that more than human, right? That more than human represents really, a source of unconditional love. And that is grief. We go through those grief processes when we lose those more than humans. And more than humans are not just our dogs either. It goes beyond that. Maybe it's a home. Maybe it, is like, a particular forest you used to walk in, or else, a lake that soon became polluted. But what we need to know is that we come with those experiences. So when we go into work that's, again, about decolonization, that we come to it knowing that the people that are in that conversation, the ones that are going to be the accomplices in our work in decolonizing institutions and again outside of our institutions, that we know that those people that are coming, again, to work side by side or to deconstruct those structures that again keep people like myself out, people that are BIPOC, people that are marginalized, that we know that they come with a range of emotions, so that we treat each other two-leggeds with that kindness and know that they do, that they come with that face, right? That face of professionalism, maybe. They come with the educator face, but we also need to remember that they too may be a parent, that they may be a lover, they may be a friend, a family member, and that they too walk the same journey and experience the same pain. So I always remind myself that when doing this work and engaging in tough conversations, that the people sitting in that circle with me have also come to, that space with their share of loss, but also that it has to be a hopeful process, right? It has to be hopeful. And that's what it's about. It's about that hopefulness. The hopefulness, that we create spaces so that those voices that have been, again, silenced, for 500 years or whatever, that they also have a place to speak, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to open it up to Lara and Jessica, and then I have another activity for my beautiful peeps in our chat.
Awesome. Well, I think that that is beautiful. That's definitely something that I always look to, is that if we don't have hope, what do we really have? So I think that that sentiment is an important one to take away from today's discussion. Yeah, I don't think I have any questions right now. I don't know if Jessica does, or if Pam, you want to do your activity, and then we can open it up to questions from everybody else.
Okay. Now I'll just see, Jess, do you have anything, or did you want me to go to the activity?
So maybe Pam, you can choose, because this is a question that I have been thinking about a lot. As you know, with Shannon and Lisa, we're writing this book on critical hope. So how
Yeah.
do you hope, and what are the conditions of hope, and what happens when you lose hope?
Yeah.
And we've been poking around this concept for a long time, and looking through our own disciplinary lens, but also at institutions of higher education more generally, and you've articulated it beautifully about how this journey together is a hopeful one, and it's a messy one, and one of the reasons why it's hopeful is that it's messy, and one of the reasons why it's messy is because it's hopeful. But I just wonder if you could share with us maybe your definition of hope, and maybe some ways to anchor hope in practice. Like, what does hope look like as a verb? What does hope look like in action? Because sometimes it feels like the most hopeful thing I do in a day is get out of bed, right? Sometimes that's the only hopeful thing I can go, okay, go out into the world and be broken open.
Yep.
But I wonder if you could talk about that from your experience as a warrior of hope.
So my good friend Jess, so Miigwech, again, Miigwech for asking that question. It's interesting because, again, your question actually ties into the activity that I'm going to be, again, doing with the group, so then I can talk about hope and critical hope, right? So here it is, my friends. So again, we'll go to the chat, right? And what I want you to do is I want you, again, just to look around your space right now. Look around your space. So I'm going to look around mine. Oh my goodness, there's the beach. Do you see that dolphin swimming there? Do you see it swimming? Okay, do you see it there? Yeah, do you see maybe my partner and my dog out on a sea-doo or something? I don't know. But look around your space, right? Look around your space, okay? So I just want you to look around. Maybe it's that coffee pot. I don't know. Maybe it's the fridge. Maybe it's your favorite couch. Maybe it's your cat. Maybe it's a photo, right? Maybe it's a photo. Maybe it's yourself. But what I would like you to do, my friends, okay, so look around your space that you're occupying right now. And I really want you to think about this. Think about yourself in your space. Because if you're in your space right now and there's nothing in your space that you're situated in that gives you hope, that's a problem, right? So I want you to look around your space. So what gives you hope? And you could say, you know what? Yeah, it's my laptop and it's having social connection. It's my phone. It's being able to look at my photos. It's being able to go to my coffee maker, open my fridge, and being able to have food. Maybe it's like, oh, thank goodness, I got that gift, that bottle of wine from my buddy that I can finally open. I don't know. There's all kinds of levels of hope, my friend, but go to the chat. So look around your space. What gives you hope, right? Again, beautiful. So again, what gives you hope? Because if there's something in your spaces right now that if you can't look to it and say, this is what gives me hope, or keeps me hopeful, then that is definitely, an issue. And what I would say is I would definitely look for those, look for those items, both material and non-material, that give you hope, right? So it's like, well, what do you mean by, non-material hope, right? So we look around our spaces and I see all kinds of things. I see some of my ceremonial items that give me hope. I can go to my fridge, I can get a snack. I don't have to worry about food security. That gives me hope, right? I have a roof over my head that doesn't leak, that's not cold. That gives me hope, right? I look at my dogs, my more than humans, and I look at their unconditional love and, get to share in it. That gives me hope. My partner in the next room that's making all of his lunches for work for the next couple of days, that gives me hope. Gives me hope because I don't have to make lunches. But not only that, what gives me hope, when I look around and I think about non-material things around my space is the reminders, that non-material hope for me comes from friendship. It comes from laughter. It comes from all of those gifts, that my ancestors really worked hard to provide for me, right? All those that came before me. So I look around, I look outside, I can see a tree, and that gives me hope. So it's those memories that are non-material and the material, because we need both, and it's okay to say that. Sometimes in the morning, what gives me hope is getting out of bed, because we don't know what each other goes through in life. So that's why, for me, critical hope is about reminding each other, reminding the students we work with, reminding each other of all of those wonderful things in our life when things look bleak, when it's like, you know what, I've got nothing left to give, I've got nothing left. That knowing, reminding each other that, that there's hope everywhere. We see hope in our children's eyes. We see hope like, when our beautiful pup is lying in the sun. We see hope whenever we see the wind going through the trees. And when we can't find that hope, right? So when we're having trouble on those dark days, that critical hope is really about as well having us two-leggeds connect deeper, right? Connect deeper with the earth. And to think about, listen, so why is it today that I feel hopeless? And why is it looking so dark that I don't feel like I'm going to get out of it? Critical hope for me is, again, those reminders, but also, again, working together as Nichkan, as good friends from that heart, to be able to move forward and to help each other out, to keep each other hopeful, right? Because there's days you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, it's so bleak. I can't take another thing. And yes, it's going to feel like that. But it's having those beings around us, whether it's a friend, a family member, the ones that are going to, again, let you know, yes, today feels dark. But you know what? It could be in an hour, a minute, or tomorrow, it's going to feel very different, right? So that's why decolonization is really about, for me, is about having that critical hope, knowing the conversations are going to be messy, that our hearts are going to hurt, but knowing that, that this is a journey, and that what is it, what is the end goal of this journey, right? And the end goal of it is, for me, is more than just the two-leggeds, right? It's about, it's about those 7 generations that are yet unborn, those faces unseen, right? The faces unseen. It's ensuring that they have a space where they're treated with kindness, right? Really, that's what it is. where they're treated with kindness and respect, and that they have the lives that, that we can dream, and dream big for them, that they can dream large and have that, and not have to worry about the colonial gatekeepers that are going to consistently keep those structures in place so that they continue to benefit, right? So that's really what it is for me. So I look at our wonderful comments in the side, and I know that we are coming to the end of our time together, my friends. So what I would ask before, questions get opened up is if you could share maybe one takeaway from today in the chat. And I would ask you as well, my good friends, in the spirit of Nietzscheanism, right? In the spirit of friendship and in the spirit of walking a good journey together in decolonization, that you take a look and see what it is that are the key takeaways for your two-leggeds here. Okay, so again, what was your takeaway from today? What was like a key insight? And if you're like, I got nothing, all I know is I need some more coffee, that's okay too. So go ahead. What was your key takeaway? You can put it in the chat, and then I'm going to pass it over to Jessica and to Lara. Some really interesting feedback, hopeful, kindness, again, some concrete takeaways, yeah, again, this is again, reconciliation again, but reconciliation, right? Again, it's really important that we do that. There's messiness, but there is, again, being hopeful, again, being a visitor on traditional lands. I get it. Yeah, I'm Anishinaabe, but once I'm outside of my territory, I'm a visitor too, unless I'm invited. Yeah. So again, some really amazing and brilliant thoughts. And it goes right back again to your own beautiful selves, right? And so that critical hope is reminding each other that there is no other individual on the face of this planet that is like you. Even if you're a twin, that twin is still different. Personality, likes, dislikes, right? So again, it's reminding each other, there's no one else like you on the face of this planet. You are like this just amazing two-legged individual. So that is, for me, is so important. Yeah, so important. So I'll pass it over to my beautiful, two-legged, Nietzsche's friends, Lara and Jessica. So if you want to, again, facilitate this, we're coming to the end. So miigwech, everybody. I really appreciate this.
No, thank you so much, Pam. That was amazing. So I was just wondering if anybody has any other questions to ask Pam or myself. I can take a stab at something, but we'll see about that. Yeah, I definitely think that everything you've all said in the chat is like really amazing. If there's not necessarily a question for us, I can pose a question to you. So we talked about like land acknowledgement and like how a lot of like educators put it in their syllabus, and if there's a meeting, you're like, oh, we're on the traditional territory of fill in name here. And Pam was talking about the steps you take after that, because the reconciliation is about the action and the follow through, rather than just the words. So I would just like to know, like, what do you think are some good like ways of showing this action of moving forward, just like as I work on things to bring to the presidents of our institutions, the more insights, the better.
You know what? So I'm actually going to just, I'll give five examples. And so again, for concrete things. So when we talk about, again, land recognition and acknowledgements, and asking, what does it compel me to do, right? What does it compel me to do differently, right? So that's really what it is. So what does that actually mean? So again, like one of the very first steps, right, about what does it compel me to do? It should compel you automatically to know who you are. And a lot of folks are like, what do you mean? I already know who I am. I'm Canadian, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you might go through your own list. No, find out who you are. And what that means, right? So that means everybody take that journey. There's a reason why ancestry DNA, and we have so many people spitting into test tubes and swabbing their cheeks because there's a, it's big business now. There's an innate desire to know who we are. Know your story. What are the hopes and dreams of your own ancestors from the countries that they originated from? Know your own story. Because I think once you know your own story and you start to take that journey, then it'll be like, okay, I get it. I get it. Like, and you'll get it in the sense that you'll be like, okay, now I know, I know the journey that my ancestors took, coming from Russia, that I know, the journey, and I know their hopes and dreams from that small town in Italy, whatever it is. But know the story, know your own roots, right? It's okay to be proud and say I'm a proud Canadian, but don't leave it so one-dimensional that there's really not a point of reference. Okay, so but know the full story. Not only that, it also means embracing certain activities, having real relationships with Indigenous peoples of the territory you're in by attending community events, right? First step, attend an event, National Indigenous Peoples Day, whatever it is, Louis Riel Day, the Arctic Games, going to a community feast, start. That's a safe entry point. Learn from local knowledge keepers, right? Outside of the institutional walls. Go on a medicine walk, go to a powwow or a language camp, right? Contact the Friendship Center, or else, the Indigenous Student Services Center at your institution. But learn, from those knowledge keepers. Again, don't be afraid to engage in a community outreach project in a good way, right? In a good way. So again, find out, what is Project of Heart? What is Orange Shirt Day? I Am a Witness, Walking with Our Sisters, Shannon's Dream, and what is Jordan's Principle or the Red Dress Project? Engage, engage. And again, don't be afraid to participate in experiential activities that delve into our relations as Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. Don't be afraid to go to, a Kairos blanket exercise, don't be afraid of that. And don't be afraid to ask questions, it's okay, especially as academics and students. We get positioned in this very colonial space. This colonial space that really forces us, to think that we've got to know it all, that we've got to be experts. It really does. That in fact, it's looked at as a weakness if we say, I don't know, right? So we really need to just, and that's part of the colonial structure, is this whole idea of expertise, like the expertise. So in order to deconstruct that as well, it's okay to say, I don't know, but I will find out someone who does. And if I can't from there, then how about we talk about it? I don't know. So those are some concrete ways. Know who you are, right? Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. If you see a Kairos blanket exercise, try it. What is Project Heart? Orange Shirt Day, I'm a Witness, Walking with Our Sisters, Shannon's Dream. Learn from local Indigenous knowledge keepers, medicine walks, powwows, sharing circles, language camps. Don't be afraid, to go to Indigenous People Days, like the National Indigenous Peoples Day, Louis Riel Days, Arctic Games. Don't be afraid, and also don't be afraid to say, I don't know, because that's also about deconstructing the colonial structures that we operate in, right? Yeah, we're not the experts. We really aren't. Yeah, and it's okay to say I'm not, but I'm willing to share what I know. Okay, so I'll leave it at that.
No, that's amazing that I have all sorts of notes written down, just like Jessica said she did. So I'm very excited. I have so many ideas spinning through my head right now. So I guess we have 4 minutes left if there's any questions. If not, would people be able to please fill out the feedback form? Heather has posted the link in the chat. It's like one of the newest messages. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, it helps with future programming. And Heather also posted the link to the rest of October's programming for the Maple League virtual events, which is sure to be exciting. Yeah, I'm just very thankful that I got to be here today and to learn from you, Pam. My eyes have been opened to so much stuff, and I have so many ideas and things I want to work on with the Maple League.
So my friends, I'm going to say miigwech, and I'm going to start swimming out, okay? Start swimming out into my space here. All right, so I'd like to say miigwech, and here we go.